Hi everyone and welcome to your uCheck onboarding webinar. Whether you're brand new to the system or you just need a refresher, today's session will walk you through everything that you need to know, from starting an application to managing your account. My name is Shana. I'm a client support officer here at uCheck and I've been with the company for almost 4 years now. I'm also joined today by my colleague Katie.
Hi everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, my name's Katie and I've been here just over 4 years now.
If you need us to resend your login details for you, then just get in touch with a member of our client support team on one of the available channels here. They are always happy to help and it's literally what we're here for. So we'll also have a chance to answer questions at the end. Feel free to make a note of these throughout and we will be happy to provide you with the answers that you need. So with that in mind, let's get started. All right, so when you first log in, you're going to see your dashboard. If you don't see any applications here yet, then don't worry, it's perfectly normal. It just means that none have been started yet. So on your dashboard, here's what you'll find. You're going to see the total number of applicants. This is all of your applications, including those that have completed and are still in progress. You'll see awaiting further action. These are the applications that need input from you as the employer. It is a really good idea just to keep an eye on this section as it will show you what the next steps are that are needed from you. Just as a really quick note, we can only keep applications that have been left incomplete for 3 months from the date they were created. So if they haven't been processed by then, they'll no longer be available on the system for you to view. The other one that you'll see is awaiting staff review. These applications are with ourselves at uCheck to look over for you before they can go to the DBS. You might sometimes see statuses like awaiting counter signatory on your dashboard. If we do need any more details from yourself, then a note will be left on the application and it will move back into the awaiting further action section. You can also filter your applications by status, product, date or name, and this makes it much easier to manage multiple applications.
Lovely. So at the top of our screen, we have got the navigation bar. So we can use this to go around the system and get around to different parts. But what we'll do is we'll come back to that later. And for now, we'll have a look at starting a new application. So we're going to go ahead to the top right-hand corner and click Check a New Applicant. And this is how we begin all applications, no matter what you're using our service for. So quick run through of the service we offer and what you've got available. So at the top, we have got the DBS Enhanced and DBS Standard as well. Underneath that, we have got DBS Basic, Disclosure Scotland Basic, Right to Work, Identity Check, and also Adverse Credit. Depending on what checks your organisation is set up for, your screen may look a little bit different. If you don't see the option for DBS Standard or Enhanced, please reach out to our client support team. It usually just means we need a bit more information before we can enable those products for you. Just a quick note on this page, a common mix-up that we see is just the difference between standard and basic checks. These are actually two different levels of DBS check, but if you're unsure about which level you need for your applicant, again, just get in touch. We can talk the job role through with you and let you know which one to select. One other thing we can do on this page is we can request a single check or we can combine multiple products as well. Depending on what you need, please go ahead and just do that. If not, then just select the one that you'd like for the applicant. And if you would like to learn any more about any of the products, just simply click more next to the option for the product and it will just come up with a brief description as well. If you're requesting a DBS check, then you can choose to verify the applicant's identity digitally. This allows them to use their phone for ID verification and it will save you time and remove the need for you to manually check the documents. We also have the option for you to charge the applicants for the checks directly. If you enable this, then the applicants will be asked to make a secure card payment at the end of the application form. If we leave it as no, the payment will default for yourself to make the payment following approving the application later on.
So there are three ways that you can start an application. The first option is by pressing the Start Application button. This will open a form where you can enter the applicant's personal details. You can use this option if you're filling out the form on behalf of the applicant or if you have them there with you in person and you'd like to do it together. The second option is to copy the link. You can create a unique link for the applicant to use. A pop-up will display the web address, which you can then copy and paste into an email if your preference is to send it to the applicant yourself. Please note, each time you send a link to an applicant, a new link must be generated each time. The third option is to provide the applicant's personal information. If you enter their contact details into this section of the screen, then we will send them an email notification and do all the work for you. You can also include a mobile number, and what this will do is it will send the applicant a text message to remind them to complete their application. There is also a section at the top where you can track the links that you've sent to an applicant under the Invites tab, but we'll go through that in more depth shortly.
Lovely. So we are going to go ahead and fill in a dummy application form just so that we can see the whole process from start to end. So we're going to click Start Now and do a DBS enhanced application. And we're going to fill this in together and fill in each part of the form. So step one is going to ask us for personal information. So again, all of this pertains to the applicant. So as Shana mentioned, you can fill this in on their behalf, or instead you can send them the link and they'll just be, they'll just be emailed this directly and it will look exactly the same as well. Just a quick note on this one is that if the applicant doesn't have a middle name, then that's absolutely fine. It will just come up with this pop-up just as a reminder to them. If we don't have a middle name, we're going to click I understand and it's going to let us go through the form. So we're just again going to pop in some dummy information here just to let us go through to the next page. A quick note as well is that all of the fields marked in orange are the mandatory ones. Anything not in orange, again, it doesn't need to be filled in, but just make sure that anything in orange is put in by either yourself or the applicant. With the email address box, that one again is the email address for the applicant. The DBS actually use this to identify any previous applications the applicant has had. So it's just important that if they have had one before, they just pop their email address in and it will just allow for more accurate vetting.
So the next stage is the applicant's personal history. On this page, the applicant will just be asked about their nationality and if they've been known by any other names. So if the applicant does select yes to having had a change of nationality, surname, or being known by another name, additional information will be requested. It's worth noting that when an applicant selects Mrs. or Ms. on the previous page but answers no to a surname change, then they will be prompted to provide a name change based on the DBS guidance. If their name hasn't changed, then all they'll need to do is re-enter their surname and provide the current month and year to confirm that they are still using this name. We quite often see this pop up when someone has married but has chosen not to change their name. If the applicant has used other surnames or has legally changed their forename, then they'll be asked to list their name history on the next page. For the purpose of this application, we are going to select no to this. However, if your applicant does have an extensive name history and you are needing additional support with how this would be entered, please do get in touch with us at the client support team.
Lovely. So moving on to the address information section 3. We're going to go ahead and fill this out now. So we would recommend using the lookup postcode tool. This will then match addresses registered with Royal Mail. So it does save the need for you to type in each section of the address manually. However, if you do use the lookup postcode tool and you can't quite see the address on the list, do just click manual address entry. And you'll be able to enter it in manually as well. Please note here, if an address is entered manually, the applicant won't be able to complete an ID or an adverse credit check. If you're not going to be using either of those two products, then just ignore that and go ahead and use the lookup postcode tool. A full continuous 5-year address history is required as part of the DBS check. and you will need to enter the month and the year for each address. The applicant will just start with their current address and work their way backwards. And the current address should really be in the UK. If the applicant hasn't lived in the UK for the full 5 years, then non-UK addresses can be added using the manual address entry option. For the webinar, we're going to be doing just a brief 5-year address history. But again, if the applicant has lived at more addresses, the form will continue until 5 years are covered.
So this is stage 5. This is the section where the applicant will review their information. You will see that before this stage there is stage 4, and that is where the applicant would enter their identity information. However, because we are doing a dummy application, we are just going to scoot over that part. So with this section, this is where the applicant is able to review all of the information that they've entered before submitting the form. If they do spot any errors, then they can use the previous button to go back to the relevant page and make corrections. So to complete this stage, the applicant just needs to tick these 2 boxes, make sure they read them and move forward to the next page. And again, here the applicant will also be asked to sign the following declaration before entering their digital signature. When it comes to their digital signature, they must type this by entering their forename and surname. So middle names, titles, and initials are not needed for this section. It is just their forename and their surname. Once they've done that, they can sign and submit the application, and then it will appear on your dashboard ready for you to do your next section. One quick thing to note before we do go back to your dashboard is that the applicant will be provided with their application reference on this page, and this reference number will also be emailed to them.
Lovely. So once the applicant has submitted their information, the application will now appear on our dashboard. To continue with this and get it submitted, simply click on the applicant's name to open the application, and it will open here in the overview state. Depending on the type of check requested, different actions might be needed. If action is required, a yellow hazard icon will appear above the section. We're now going to break this down into each section so we can go through what's needed.
So the first section that we're going to look at together is section Y. This is the section that the DBS use so they can see what an applicant is doing within their role and what they are doing to be eligible for the level of check that's being requested. So this section will only show on standard and enhanced applications. The reason for that is that there's legislation in place which determines who can and can't have the different levels of DBS checks. Our role here at uCheck is to help support you and make sure that these are processed correctly. So with section Y, as mentioned just now, you won't see these on a basic check. So if you're processing a basic check, you won't be asked to complete this section. The reason for that is that anyone can have a basic check. It's really important to be clear and specific when describing the role in this section. For example, if you're processing a check for someone who manages staff who are providing care, you could describe the role as care manager or even manager and carer. For staff who are entering schools, for example, a construction worker, you would just need to enter the establishment into the position applied for also. So for example, construction in schools. If the role description isn't very clear, then the DBS may end up querying the application during the vetting process, and this can cause potential delays. If additional action is needed from you, then all users will receive an email notification from us regarding the eligibility of the role. If you do get stuck on section Y, then please do not hesitate to get in touch. Our support team is always available. If we do happen to leave a note on the application, then please make sure you're responding with as much detail as possible. This helps us offer clearer guidance on any necessary amendments to the application.
Lovely. So now we've completed section Y, we're going to go over to the ID check tab and complete this together now. If we did not choose to do digital ID on an applicant, then you will need to complete the manual ID check for them. If you did choose digital ID, then that will be pre-populated here and no further action is required. We're just going to need to select the ID documents that we have for the applicant. It's worth noting that for standard and enhanced checks, 3 documents are required, but for basic checks, you will only need 2 from them. Once you have selected the documents from each drop down, then you'll just be asked here if they've been checked against the applicant's current address and the date of birth matches as well. Once we're happy with that, we're going to go ahead and click Save, and we can now see we've got 2 green ticks, one above section Y and one above the ID check. Just a quick note here is that on the very far end, we also have our Audit tab. So this is really helpful, and it's going to record any changes made to the application. It's also going to give us a date and time stamp as well. So if you did see anything on here that you don't remember doing, for example, you can go into the audit, see the name of the user and when that was changed. If we just go back to overview, then we can have a quick scroll down here and see that if we no longer need an application, then we can choose to withdraw it before it's been countersigned by uCheck. However, once we have countersigned the application, no further changes can be made. uCheck will aim to countersign all applications within 1 working hour. If you have seen that an application has not been countersigned within this time and it has reverted back to awaiting action, please go back into the notes section, as we may have left a note in there asking for more information for the role. Once uCheck have countersigned the application, the status will update to in progress and a track button will also become available.
So now that we've covered how to submit an application, let's take a closer look at what happens behind the scenes during the DBS checking process. Understanding the different stages of a DBS check will help you track the progress and know exactly where in the vetting journey it is. So because this is a dummy application, we can't see the exact tracking screen that you'll have access to. But what I will do is I will talk you through the 5 different stages. So stage 1, this is the stage where the DBS will receive the application and validate it. The DBS sweep our systems every 30 minutes for new applications. So we ensure that these are sent over as quickly as possible on your behalf. Online applications validate and complete stage 1 almost automatically. The second stage is stage 2, and this is where the police national computer is searched. The applicant's personal details are checked against the police national computer for any criminal records. If a potential match is found, further verification like fingerprinting may be required. The third stage is stage 3. However, these are only applicable to enhanced checks. This is where the barred list will be searched if they have been selected on the application. For roles that are working directly with children or vulnerable adults, the applicant will be checked against the adult and/or children's barred list. If it's found that the individual is listed on either one of these barred lists, this means that the applicant will legally be prohibited from working in those roles. The fourth stage, again, which is enhanced checks only, is the stage where the application goes off to the applicant's local police force. It will be sent here to see if any additional information needs to be disclosed on the check. This step can take a little bit longer, especially if the applicant has lived in multiple addresses or has been known by numerous names. If any errors have been made with the application, this is typically where those errors are found out. This means that the application can be queried or in some cases withdrawn by the police and the DBS. This is the stage where the DBS will also check the eligibility of the role. The fifth and final stage, which will come across all different levels of checks, is where the DBS will issue the hard copy of the certificate. They will print and post this to the applicant's current address as listed on their application. If the applicant hasn't received their certificate within 14 days, then they must contact the DBS to request a reprint. Please note, an applicant only has 3 months to make the DBS aware if they have not received their certificate. Once they have received this certificate, you will need to ask them to present the hard copy of their certificate for your review so that you can make your recruitment decision. For DBS checks, all tracking information comes directly from the DBS. At uCheck, we don't have access to any additional details or live updates beyond what is shown on the platform. So anything that we have access to, we will also give you access to.
Lovely. So just going on from that, a few important notes on any delays you might see in applications. So the DBS will only allow us as counter-signatories to escalate an application if it's been in stage 4 for more than 60 days. It is very rare that that happens. However, if it does, we will automatically raise that escalation for you, and you will receive a note on the application as well as an email confirming that that's gone through successfully. Further to this, the applicant can raise an escalation a lot earlier than that. If the applicant is facing financial hardship, they can contact the DBS directly and request an earlier escalation after 28 days. To do this, they can just call the DBS directly, and their contact number is 03000 200 190. Again, that was 03000 200 190. They just then select option 2 and then 2 again, provide their application reference number that starts with the letter E that can be seen here on the screen, and they can use this to identify the applicant on the system and discuss an escalation.
So the next section of the webinar is taking a look at the results and records. All users will receive an email notification once the application has completed the vetting process. To view these details, you would just need to log into your dashboard and navigate to the results section. You can click on the applicant's name to see their information, and you'll also have the option to download a summary certificate for your records. Please note, this summary certificate is not the official DBS certificate, and it will be stored on our system for 6 months. After 6 months, the summary will be marked as expired on our system. It doesn't mean that the DBS certificate itself has expired, it's literally just this copy that we store.
When an applicant leaves your organisation, you can also enter their leave date in the employment section of the form. Doing this will automatically trigger the deletion of their personal data from the system in accordance with our data protection policies. We can just enter here the date they started and the date they left, hit the save button, we'll get a small pop-up just to make sure that we're happy with what we're doing, and we can then save the information to be removed accordingly. Lovely. Let's take a look around the other menu options in your account. These tools can help you stay organized, manage payments, and also customize your settings. First of all, let's head over to the Invites tab. Here we can view and resend any invitation emails to our applicants, and we can also track who hasn't completed the application form yet. If we now go across to the To-Do tab, this will show us any applications that require your attention as the employer. If we at uCheck query a role, the application will appear here under awaiting further action on the dashboard. All users will also get an email notification to confirm this, and to resolve any queries, go ahead and check the notes section that we covered earlier, as we at uCheck can't proceed without your response. Do make sure to review this tab regularly to avoid delays. You should get an email to confirm a note's been left as well, but it's always just worth checking the tab just for that extra bit of reassurance.
So the next section we're going to look at is payment options. So at uCheck, we offer 3 different payment methods. Firstly, you can pay using credit or debit cards, and you can save these for future use on applications to save you having to input them every time. The other option that we have is our wallet system. So you can add funds via bank transfer or via card on the wallet section. This is linked to your main account and can be used by all users on the platform. Please note, bank transfers can take a day or 2 to appear. When you are transferring money into your wallet via bank transfer, please make sure you're including your organisation reference as displayed here to ensure timely processing. If you do choose to pay funds into your wallet via card instead, these will appear almost instantly. The third option is direct debit. So you can set up a direct debit with ourselves for fortnightly invoicing. In order to do this, we would just need confirmation from the primary contact on your account to consent to a light company credit check. If you do like the idea of being set up on direct debit, then please email our accounts department and they will be able to look into this for you. Their email address is accounts with an S on the end at ucheck.co.uk.
We'll now move across to our My Account tab where we can personalize our system. The first tab that we have within My Account is the user information, and you can use this section to add any additional users to your portal as well. These would be other people within the company that you work for that can add and process DBS checks. You can add as many users as you'd like. It does just come with a one-off £6 fee per user for us to get them added to the portal. They'll then be issued with their own login information, and their system will look exactly like this as it does for you. The next section we have is company information, where we can view all of your organisation details. If any of this doesn't look quite right or if it needs to be changed, please just contact the client support team and we can get that amended for you. Moving over now to the email options, you'll see here all of the emails that we will send, and they will all be defaulted with a green tick, which will mean that you'll get these emails should they happen. If you would like any of them unticked, that will mean that you won't receive the email. Then just go ahead and untick them, hit the save button, and that will then apply. Finally, we'll move over to our reminders. So we have our check a new applicant reminders here. This will send reminders emails to applicants who haven't finished their application forms. We can here select how many days we'd like it to be resent after the initial invite is sent to them, and then hit the save button. And then finally, we have our rechecking reminders. So this is going to set up automatic alerts to remind you as the employer when criminal record checks are due for renewal. You can also customize the frequency here, and this will customize how often those emails are sent to you to recheck the applicant. Once we're happy, we're going to click Save, and that is all of our My Account information up to date. The final tab that we'll go through is our search function. So we can just simply click on this and then use any of the fields here to locate our applicants. You can type information in one box, or you can type in, for example, the first and surname if you have quite a few applicants, date of birth and the HR reference as well. Hit the search button and the applicant should appear.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that, Katie. So that brings us to the end of today's session. We hope that you found it useful. Before we do finish, here's a really quick recap of the things that we've covered along with your next steps. So the key takeaways from today is that you've learned how to navigate your dashboard, submit a new application, and track the progress of a check. We've also covered managing your applicants, your payments, and your account settings, and you now know how to request new checks and update your notification preferences.
Thank you. So we've now just put on the screen again just our contact details for ease, sorry. So we've got our email address, our live chat, and our phone number as well. If anything comes up, any questions after the webinar, then please don't hesitate to get in touch. And also don't forget to check out our helpful knowledge base. This can be accessed through the portal, just on the bottom right-hand corner. We've got in there some tailored guides, FAQs, and more. So always check that as well. Thank you again so much for joining. We really hope that's been useful, and we really hope that you're now able, to submit applications and understand the system a little bit better.
I'd like to say thank you to everyone for joining as well. As being part of the client support team, we're here to make everything as smooth and successful as possible for you. So with that being said, we are now available to take some questions. If you have any questions about the system in particular, feel free to leave them with us and we will get those answered for you.
Okay, perfect. So hopefully you can all hear me again okay. Now we are just going to do our question and answer session now following the demo. Any questions, if you've not put them in the chat throughout the demonstration, then just pop them in the questions box underneath. But we're going to get started and go through the ones that we've had so far. So one of the first ones we've had is about withdrawing email invitations.